Princess Lily here in the Transgirl CNC, where we talk about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd shit. So, as you can tell, we're kind of using a new angle this week. We're seeing how we like it, see if I like it, see if you like it. I gotta say, it's definitely kind of a winner in my book, but we'll see if y'all like it or if you don't. Just leave a comment down below if you're a regular viewer, and if you like the angle, if you don't like the angle, if you want me to go back, we'll see what we can do. But until then, let's stick with this, see how it goes. Now, before we get into this week's video, let's talk about something that you might have missed. This is, of course, if you haven't seen before, something I suggest to you that you should definitely be checking out, at least in my opinion. And, of course, I'm suggesting to you Season 3 of My Hero Academia. If I'm suggesting Season 3 to you, that probably means you haven't watched Season 1 or 2. I've made videos about both these seasons if you want to just catch yourself up to them really fast. But I would suggest just watching them. They're on Hulu and Crunchyroll and Verb. Verb. Totally forgot how to spell that out. Maybe there's an N at the end? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, so it doesn't matter. So yes, it's a great shonen anime that sometimes breaks a lot of the tropes that shonen anime has, but it also does follow a lot of those tropes too. So, you know, it's a mixed bag. I definitely think it's one of the better shows to come out in recent years, so definitely check it out if you're not already watching it. Across whatever platform you use to watch it. Just watch it, it's good. Studio Bones, good animation, love them. Alright, moving on. Let's talk about this week's topic, which is Boom Studios Saban's Go-Go Power Rangers. We've got all the cool covers right there. You can't really read the Go-Go on that because of the lighting, but hey, there it is. Go-Go Power Rangers is basically a retelling of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It adds some new themes, it takes some themes out, and it kind of gives a more backstory for all the characters, which is kind of nice. I enjoy that. I really appreciate that. The problem with the original Mighty Morphin is that it was taken from Zero Ranger, which is part of the Super Sentai series. Of course, you know that, and I know that, and we all know that, but let's just go over that a little bit. Now, America, when they license these shows over from other countries, sometimes they're very much like their countries. Zero Ranger and Sentai in general is very Japanese. And like with Satoshi calling rice balls donuts in Pokemon, they kind of had to cut out a lot of the Japanese themes because they just don't make sense in our country for, you know, because that's just how it is. That's how it works. So they took the cool Fighting Ranger footage and they, you know, cut it up and then put their own footage in to kind of make a good story. And it's kind of surprising that Power Rangers took off the way it did. In fact, not only did we get Zero Ranger, we got all the Rangers after that. That's really cool. And instead of switching cast members, like, you know, for each season, like we're doing now, we had the original team for like 4 different Ranger incarnations, from Mighty Morphin to Zeo, and even into Turbo, some of the originals, and then later, after Turbo, they totally finally started getting into those new cast members, which is nice. But let's focus on Mighty Morphin right now. So, because we're focusing on that because that's what Go-Go Power Rangers is based off of. So it really takes place like just days after the first monster attack, where Rita sends Goldar down, and the Rangers send Goldar packing, and then it's about like the rebuilding of Angel Grove and the after effects of monster attack. What does that mean for the world? You know, because now not only do we think that aliens exist, we know that aliens exist, and they're here to attack us and take over our planet, and it's awful. And who are the Power Rangers? Why do they have a giant robot? Why don't they answer to anybody? Like, these are all questions that people have, and we're... Water. These are all questions that people have, and in the background are... I mean, they're the main part of the comic, I mean, but in the background of all these questions, we have Zach, Billy, Trini, Kimberly, and Jason, the 5 original Power Rangers, wondering, you know, how they're going to get through this. They know that they can't tell their family members, they can't, you know, explain their identities, but they still have to, you know, basically live their regular high school lives while contending with monsters and putty attacks. And it's crazy. It's really about, not only is it about them being Rangers, but it's about them juggling that personal life and their Ranger life, and it does it in such a neat and interesting way. And I like that it gives, more story on how this affects the Rangers' daily lives. Like, Billy is supposed to, intern at a really cool tech place called Prometheus, and he doesn't know if he can be a Ranger and do that at the same time, or give them both the equal amount of attention that they deserve. You have Trini, who has her mother, who she loves very much, who worries about her all the time, and she's a little overbearing, and being a Ranger keeps Trini out at odd hours, and, makes her mother worried that she's losing her daughter. And then you have, even still in more interpersonal relationships, Trini is dealing with her own feelings for Jason, which never was a part of the original series, which I think is an interesting and neat, totally neat, dynamic to add into anything. The only other real, relationship is Kimberly has a boyfriend whose name is Matt. He's an added character into the series, and he's a nice addition. But he's really only added because Rita has the best plan. This is kind of why I like this over the original series, and I'm pretty sure somebody is telling me, to get fucked or whatever because I've said that. Fine, whatever. There's a difference between something when you take, content from a different country, chop it up, put your own things in it, and try to present it as your own, to actually saying, okay, this was a cool thing, and we did this with it, but how can we make it better? And this is kind of the answer. So I wouldn't even mind them making this an actual series, like a TV series, redoing it and using these storylines, because that would be totally megally cool. So, anyway, Matt, they add him because Rita gets a great idea to use a putty. A putty, has never been used before. It's very morphable, it can change its forms, and its main goal is to find out who the Rangers are, get close to them, study them, and destroy them. Now, I'm not going to tell you how that turns out, but what happens is, I'm going to tell you who Matt, this new character that they've introduced, gets kidnapped by Rita, and that's who the putty becomes. And it's really good. It's really great, because there's a lot of emotions and kind of thinking that goes through not only the Rangers' minds, as they're, because of their friend is a little different than he was after the last monster attack, but also in this new putty's mind as it gets closer to the Rangers. It's an interesting dynamic. I really like it, and they told it really well. Some kind of weirdness is the castle's name. On the moon, Rita's castle is actually called Bandora Palace, which is actually in the Japanese Zora Ranger. That's her name is Bandora. So it's interesting. It's kind of, I guess it's a nod to Zero Ranger, or maybe they just thought, we'll just leave it. I'm not sure why. I don't know why they couldn't just call her Bandora then. I don't know. Another thing the comic does is it gives backstory to Rita herself, to her minions, where she picks them up from, how they came into being a part of her army as she goes around conquering different planets. And I think that's neat, because before we really didn't have any kind of story about them. They were just bad, and they were there because they were there. And so it's interesting to see that, yes, these are how these beings got together to lead this putty army to conquer worlds. They all came from kind of different areas. The short blue one, whose name I can never remember. I forget what they call him. But he was actually gifted to Rita by his parents as a means for her to spare their lives. Doesn't go well for them. But she does keep the child, and she's like, well, looks like we're stuck together. That's neat. That's interesting, because it makes Rita not... she's still evil, but she's still got, emotions and feelings, and she's not just like evil all the time, I guess, is what I'm kind of getting at. And that's neat. And it's just really cool. I enjoy when things do something differently and then do them well. Because obviously there are things trying to do classics differently all the time. The new Rangers movie was apparently like Breakfast Club, but Rangers, and the new RoboCop was bad, and so I didn't enjoy those things. But when something takes something that I like, changes it, and those changes make it better, that's like the sweet spot. You can keep retelling me a story, so long as the story gets better and continues to grow. I think everybody can kind of agree with that. So, what am I giving this comic? I would say if I had a rating scale, and I don't, but if I did have a rating scale, I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think that's a good solid number. It's not a perfect comic. There are definitely things and aspects that I would change. Like, I know the character Billy wasn't homosexual, but it would be an interesting nod to David Yost if they had made Billy homosexual in this character, and maybe they do. I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool if he was gay. But again, I'm queer myself, so I could be biased. Who knows? I don't. But definitely check this out. They even give Bulk and Skull like a little backstory and a little more into, a little more about them, and that's freaking cool. I'm sorry. I love that. I love that whole stupid thing. That's so good. That's so good to me. Anyway, that's this video. So, now we're done. Go pick this up. It's got graphic novels, so you don't have to get the single issues, because it's been out for like half a year. Or a little more than half a year, so the single issues are kind of hard to find. Especially since Shattered Grid is starting. Shattered Grid is the story of an evil Tommy who didn't lose the Green Ranger powers, but also got the White Ranger powers too, and conquered everything. I don't just mean like his own universe. He went to other Ranger universes, kicked ass, took names, and conquered, and that shit's starting now. It actually started in March, so you're behind. You're already behind. Go pick it up. It's so good. So, I'm Fire Princess Lily. I haven't decided. No. Next time, we're talking about New Mutants. We're going to, because the movie's coming out, so we're going to talk about it. Anyway, I'm Fire Princess Lily. Until next time, enjoy comics, enjoy cartoons, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!